Talent in the kitchen does not automatically translate into entrepreneurship.
I had food
Wow,
stamps.
never even thought of that. Wow.
Quit my job on Christmas of 2020, and then in February of 2021, that's when I started Sage's Kitchen. The first year I had so many different clients, from like NBA players, NFL players, travel agents. For the first like 3-4 years, I did like 98% of everything.
It's the first time you actually leaving your team by themselves.
My heart was racing on the way here. I just gotta give them the key.
Talent in the kitchen does not automatically translate into entrepreneurship. A lot of great chefs build delicious meals, but not necessarily able to produce a great business. Today's guest is the founder of Sage's Kitchen. Sage Telford, say hi.
How you doing?
Welcome to Risepreneur. We will see at the end of the day, what are you building? Are you building a kitchen, or you building something much greater than a kitchen? So with that, we're gonna travel through this conversation. Risepreneur, as you probably heard already, emphasizes RISE. It's an acronym for refine, invest, share, and exit. So we're going to go through those ideologies and see how each one impacts the business and the entrepreneur and the community where entrepreneur operates. With that, before we begin, can you share with us how this idea of becoming a chef came into reality, and at which point it transitioned into more than just being a chef and actually having a kitchen in place?
Growing up, I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. I didn't have my own room growing up, so I used to sleep in the living room. And my mom, she used to always get up early in the morning, 3-4 a.m. To make sure she cooked for us before she went to work. Or sometimes she would cook for church, or she would cook for the community. So just always seeing that every morning kind of developed that passion for cooking. Sometimes I would, help her, whether that's, cutting something, or even that's just, licking the spoon of some cake or something like that. Just, I think that's where it kind of got birthed inside of me. Then when I went to college, I went to Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach. There I graduated with my degree in hospitality management, and there we took classes, culinary classes. I also worked in the industry a little bit at different restaurants, and over time I just kind of developed a passion for cooking. And then a lot of jobs that I worked at, well, I was one of those like rainbow employees, so I worked at like 12 or 13 different restaurants. And then the last one I worked at, it taught me a lot of the fine dining elements. But there, it was just, I dealt with a lot. There, a lot of different kind of racism. There were times working there where I was the only black person in the whole building. So just having these skills. And then I remember around that time, that's when COVID had happened, and then we were all like furloughed, and then I was stuck at home. I had food stamps.
Wow, never even thought of that. Wow.
Yeah, I was stuck at home, had a lot of food stamps. So me and a group of friends, we used to always like go work out at the park, and then afterwards I'll invite them to my house and I'll cook, and then, they just loved the food. And, even in college at times I would cook. And then I was just like, well, I could cook, people love the food. Then around that time during COVID, when Florida was like the only place that was open, there was like this trend of people traveling down to go to Disney, and they'll get like an Airbnb in Kissimmee, and then you started seeing like this, this growth of just private in-house chefs and caterers. So then I went back to my last job, and it was just completely horrible. And then I was just like, well, if I have this, gift and people love the food, might as well just go for it. So I quit my job on Christmas of 2020. Yeah, Christmas is 2020, and then in February 2021, that's when I started Sage's Kitchen, and I just never looked back afterwards. The first year, not knowing, what to expect. A friend of mine at the time booked me to do her birthday catering, and it was just like an amazing 2-day event. We did like the decor. We had a fog machine. It was just an amazing experience, and it just kept growing from there. I thank God because the first year I had so many different clients that I was not expecting, from like NBA players, NFL players, travel agents. Just, it was just kept growing, and I just, just kept never looking back, and here we are today.
What exactly hit you, and what, like, did you see entrepreneurship back in the day from somewhere? What made you think that you can pull this off?
So actually, when I was at Cookman, I tried to start a business. This is when I was in my slimmer days and I was working out, and I remember I tried to do like a nutrition group, a fit club, and it just failed miserably. Like, just I was too nervous, or I just let a lot of life things get in the way. Around that time, I was working 3 jobs and a full-time college student, so it just wasn't gonna happen.
So it was more like a habit.
Yeah. So it was. I think that's where entrepreneurship kind of just sparked. And then after COVID, or during COVID, just seeing a lot of different chefs on Instagram, and having the conversations with a few chefs, and just seeing how they're like, hey, I've been able to travel in state, out of state, and just meet so many different new people. So I think that's the combination of those two is what really sparked it. And it was just like, again, I was like, I'd rather do work for myself than work for someone who would disrespect me or just don't appreciate, the quality of work that I provide to them.
Initially, pretty much everyone leverages existing relationships. In your case, you did a birthday party for your friend. So did you have like an offering, like you specialize in a specific kitchen style, like meaning like cuisine, like specific menu, the meals, or you like open to do anything, and like it doesn't matter what theme anyone wants?
Yeah, I was pretty much open. I could cook all type of cuisines, whether it was Caribbean, Indian, all types of food. For when I first started, it was more so providing an experience. I called it the Sage experience. So I was just the decor. We'll have music playing. All the different elements like the fog machine, and just make it more of like, again, like the Sage experience, like
the
you're
ambience,
coming in.
you create the vibe.
And that's what really drew a lot of people's attention more. And of course the food is great, but the experience is what really, what I really wanted to present, to say, hey, times are changing, especially if you're traveling with your family. Instead of going to a restaurant, having to wait 45 an hour long to be seated, and then you're in a building with other people and it's loud and you can't have as much fun as you want. You could just do this in the comfort of your own home, and you can have as much music as you want. You can get as loud as you want. You could dress how you want, whatever the case may be. And, you have the decor in your setup that matches, whatever theme that you're having. So if you're having we do a lot of like Disney theme type of setup, so where if they're going to Disney as a family, or if it's a special birthday party and they want like race cars, or we done a golf retreat, so we did like a whole like golf, type of setup. So it's the experience, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm glad that you're sharing this, because hiring a private chef or somebody to come, and so it's not just here's a meal, it's a lot more than that. Initially, like go back in time, how did you refine what you were offering, right? One of the first things we as entrepreneurs focus on is we have some kind of a gift specialty, our talent, we try to monetize it, right? Yeah. So what was the offering? Like, how did you decide, like, okay, this is what I'm going to offer, this is how I'm going to price it, and this is what my profit margins will be from doing this?
I would honestly say it's the experience, like when we do caterings, it's rare that you'll have a chef who also would play music, who will bring a speaker and play music, or allow you to play your own music, who will allow you to have full customization of your menu, to where it's not boxed into this is the only items you can get. Whatever items you can think of, we could put it together for you. And then sometimes we'll include like photography, we'll include like, just different elements, or even a live DJ, like just the whole experience as a whole. it's what really like, helped, have a lot of clients choose us, as opposed to other chefs to where they're just coming in, cooking, or coming in, here's the food, and then they go, about their way. So yeah, that stage experience was the main thing.
Yeah. Did you ever play as well? You told me you're a musician.
I got forced to play one time. I got forced to play the piano one time. And this was recently too. This was around Christmas of last year. So it's something I definitely want to offer. But for the first 3-4 years, I did 98% of everything. So having to cook all the food, set up, and then having to play as well, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to present that. Sometimes if there's a piano in the vicinity, I'll play for a little bit and then they'll grab their attention. But I try not to do it then. But now since the team has been growing, definitely want to add those elements, because I have teammates who play guitar. I mean, people on the team who play guitar, who could sing, play drums. So having all of them not only cook but also play live music is definitely another element I want to add on sometime this year.
I want to dive in deeper on that. So when you started, it was just you?
Yes.
Was that day one how you operated, or initially it was something that you have to evolve and come to a conclusion to?
Yeah, it was day zero. I remember 2 weeks prior to that first event, I was ordering. So one of the things that you didn't really see I had this brunch light that I would put if I did a brunch setup. So it had these big letters that said brunch on it, and then the tiers to put a fruit display, the fog machine, the floodlights, just all those different elements and stuff. It was painted in my head way before I started it, because I was I want to try to do something different. At that time, you've seen a lot of great setups, but I want to do something different to where when people walk in a room, all the lights are off, they see the floodlights, they see and they're just whoa, where am I, So that was day zero. And nice. Then I had to throw some people in eventually to come help me.
So at which point you started to bring teammates into a picture?
It was, shortly after, immediately, because just all of the inquiries I was getting, and just all the feedback, and everyone wanting to book for the summer. I told myself I had to try to find some people. I never really had employees, but more so friends or my family, who I say, hey, yeah, I need you to come help me with this, and I'll give you some food and money and things like that. So it was immediately after.
What was the biggest challenge with that?
It was a couple. One, I guess it's an A and B. For the biggest was one, because they weren't really an employee or under the umbrella. It was they were willing, but at the same time, it was I can't get them fully, if that makes sense.
So they were not fully committed?
Yeah, not fully committed.
When you came in here, you shared with me that it's the first time you actually leaving your team by themselves. Yeah. Tell me what that's like. Now, after how many years you actually attempted to do that?
So I would say for a very long time, 3 years, 4 years or so. My heart was racing on the way here, because I came about an hour and a half away from Daytona. But one of the things I have to keep telling myself is, it's the same thing with having faith in God. If I'm gonna have faith in God, I have to have faith, 100% faith. I have to go all in. And it's the same thing with my team. I have to make sure I have 100% faith with them, because if I have only 60% faith, they're already expecting me not to believe in them or not to think that they can get it done. So as much as my heart wants to, I'm no, they're gonna be just fine. They have to be able to get it out the mud too, just like I had to by myself. So It's definitely,
It's an
it's
experience.
definitely
I remember my first days. Yeah, you leave for a few hours, but then you try to leave for a day. You leave
Yeah.
for 2 days. You leave for a week. Let's play a game. Let's say you did not go back today. You go back tomorrow. What do you think will break, if it would break?
What will break? If I could be honest, as of today, I don't. It would probably be something extremely random, like something you wouldn't even think of, like probably like one of the fryers or something. Like it wouldn't be something that they necessarily did, but just something that just probably would be like a freak
Equipment.
accident, yeah, or something. Because honestly, after the last, I could tell you stories for days. Like the last few months, we have just been tested so much with just so many different things to where one time our generator went out of nowhere, brand new generator, blew out. One time our propane tank, and we had just got it refilled. We ran out of propane and we were at Bethune-Cookman. That's one of the literally the line, it's like 60 people.
Oh
So
my
it's
God.
like with no propane, so we could have used the fryers, and we're just like we've been tested so much. So it's like they're like, and I just thank God for that, because they're like built for like any kind of contingencies. So it's like I think they would be good if I come back tomorrow. Now, would I want to? It'll be more so of a me thing. Just it's still my baby at the end of the day. So still learning to have to release it, and learning to step away and let them grow. Will probably be more so. It'll be like me being that parent. It's like don't
Yeah.
do this, don't do this. Like, okay, mom, I get. And it's just like that's. I don't think nothing would happen. I don't. If something did, it would probably be something
Good.
like
Something
random.
unusual.
Yeah.
Over the years, you were able to optimize and get it more to make it more predictable, right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, the way we look at businesses, we want to create systems. And what's a system? System, the way we define it, is something that you can do effectively, efficiently, and you can repeat it. That becomes your standard until you find a better way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And what causes us to find better way of doing it is what you experience in businesses. We call them fires. You have a fire. Propane tank, like how do we protect
Yeah.
ourselves again in the future from that? So one of the principles also we follow in a business is built on alternatives. You gotta have an alternative. There's no monopoly. If I have only one propane tank, that's a
Yeah.
monopoly.
Yeah.
If something happens to that propane tank, I'm gonna deal with the challenges, right?
Yeah.
So in case something doesn't work, you have an alternative route that is not any less
Yeah.
and can continue. Business must go on, show must go on, basically, right? So
Exactly.
how do you find teammates right now? Because you mentioned a lot of them also musicians. So, like,
Yeah.
is that part of the requirement that you
Interview
look at?
process.
Like, hey, by the way, do you play musical instruments? That's like a huge plus.
Yeah.
Or you have different pre-qualifications, just happen to be there, also play.
I know one of the main things is, of course, being in alignment. When I first hired, or started to expand the team last year, all the interviews I did, I told them straight up in the beginning, like, hey, this is not going to be one of your regular interviews where I ask you, where you from and how you graduated. I'm going to tell you who we are, what we're trying to build, and if you fall in an alignment. Again, I'm a man of God, so that was one of the first things that I mentioned was, hey, you have to be someone who's, in faith, who understands, what it means to be a believer in Christ and, a man of God, because the way this business kind of operates, it's going to be a lot of things that happens that you're just not going to understand.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be but God who gets it done, or, who, exposes us to it. So that, and then just also, again, just understanding, like I said earlier, that, hey, you can't have the mindset of an employee. You have to have the mindset of an entrepreneur. Because when you have the mindset of an employee, you just want a paycheck. You want to come in, clock in, get your money, and go. But when you have the mindset of an entrepreneur, there's a clear understanding, like, hey, I'm a part of this. This is my baby as well. This is my business. So I have just as much input into this as, as Sage, as me. So it's like a lot of the people I have now on the team, they literally come up to me and say, hey, we need to do this like this, or hey, do this way. Or they're like on the back end, hey, I found this location. Or even as far as like I have, a few people on the team, they do content and they'll post the content or they'll run the social media or whatever the case may be. So it's like just finding those people, honest, the best way I could put it is just like, letting God, just kind of just bring those people to us. Like we just hired someone recently. She started yesterday and she's already like fallen into alignment with everything. So, and then don't get me wrong, we've had those people who didn't fall into alignment, and I did in a sense compromise because at that time I believed that I needed them based off of their skills, but then I had to quickly learn like, hey, they could be talented, they could be very skillful, but if they don't fall into alignment, it's not gonna work. And it just didn't work, and then cost me lots of money and lots of time trying to force it to work, trying to force them into alignment, to where eventually I had to go, hey, I can't compromise anymore. Like if you don't fall into alignment, I don't care if this business has 10 people or 1,000. Like if it has 1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000, whoever, all of them have to be in alignment, because the way that this business, the end goal for this whole business, that's the only way everyone in that business is going to understand how it functions.
Where's the focus right now? Like on the investment side, right now you're investing into what? You're operating, you have the core team, you're delivering. What are your attention, where does it go? Where are you investing yourself into? Like talent, systems, equipment? How do you make your business grow right now? Where everything's coming from?
So I would say the investment is more so in talent acquisition, still finding good, talented people to where, like today, for example, they could run the food truck on their own or run, because we essentially have multiple entities. So we have the food truck, we have the catering, and then we also are eventually later this year launching the food prep services. So now having, the team being able to run this food truck allows me to go and do catering. Then as we continue to grow, allows a team to be able to do the meal preps. So that way we're generating those multiple streams of income. So after that, now it's about since the team, we kind of have a nice core, getting some better equipment, looking into getting like a cargo van and turning it into adding some like warmers and fridges and things like that, so we can be able to do festivals and things, because we did a festival recently called Oxtail Festival, and they ripped us apart and we ran out of food, because which was something that a lot of the vendors did, but it was just one of those things where it's only so much food you could fit in a food truck. So if you have like 5,000 people or you have like hundreds of people in your line, it's only so much food you can have. Yeah. So having like a van to have backups and stuff is something I definitely want to invest in, to where we could be able to gain more revenue and increase production as well.
Love it. So let's unpack some of these things. I heard that you have 3 different directions. You have a food truck, you have catering, and you have meal prepping.
Yeah.
So each one is like a profit center would look, right? So let's start with each one. Like how do you leverage each one, and what are you investing there? So with food trucks, you said you're gonna have another one that would be based on the event type. You would not be in a position where you're running out of things. Mm-hmm. So what's the plan?
So with the truck, as you said, it's starting off more of like a marketing tool. So Sage's Kitchen, that's the first one. That's the private chef catering. That's more of like the where the center point of where most of the revenue comes in. So right now we're trying to get the food truck to that point, to where it's gaining consistent revenue, to where it's sustaining on its own. And then the next thing, the meal preps, is going to be the next like marketing thing, and then eventually that builds as well too.
If you would go and invest now, where do you think would be the biggest return on that investment?
If I was to invest into one of them, I would honestly invest into the meal preps.
Meal preps?
Yeah.
Why?
Because that is one of the things that a lot of like our guests or clients ask for. It's definitely something that a lot of people need, whether they're working and don't have time to cook, or if they're, if they're athletic, or if they're in the gym and they want to watch their weight, or, watch how many calories they're consuming. The only thing with meal preps is because of how like tedious it can be with, prepping all the food and, making sure that you have all the numbers, all the macros and all of that. That's why I haven't like started it yet, but I know that that's going to be the one that gains the most like revenue. But with that, I would definitely need like some sort of like kitchen, whether it's like a warehouse I transform into a prep kitchen, or a restaurant, because that kind of volume, you're definitely going to need a big enough space to be able to cook all that food.
So whenever we do anything in a business or direction that we're taking, question to myself is, how does this improve the enterprise value? Because every time you make a decision buying equipment or anything, it's not only increasing, decreasing revenue, increasing, decreasing your profits, it's also increasing, decreasing your enterprise value. Everything is enterprise value. So what would build higher enterprise value in your opinion?
Enterprise value, I would definitely say the food truck.
Food truck.
In essence, the food truck.
So are you able to replicate that already?
Yeah.
So if you get another truck, you can get some of your teammates maybe lead that, because they've seen firsthand how it should be operated. So you can have another truck out there.
Yeah, especially once today I go back to the team and get that feedback. They do an amazing job. I'm going to speak into existence now. That would definitely prove like, hey, I could definitely have another food truck and just hire another team and have them operate it in different cities. We've already been working on like recipe sheets. You said something about systems earlier, so we've been creating those systems to say from this time to this time, this is what needs to be done. Understanding the POS system, understanding how to greet guests, like all of those from minor to major different things. With just operating the food truck, the team has it down packed for sure. And a lot of the things I didn't even show them. It's just they just absorbed and just noticed it. So I know once everything is officially on paper, then we could definitely, because that's actually the goal for me, is to have multiple food trucks, have multiple restaurants. Like my end goal is to have a hospitality corporation. So that's with restaurants, hotels, and all of that. Even though today is like the first day, I'm not there. There's been plenty of times where I would like step back and just kind of let them flow. And just observe to make sure that those systems that I've been showing them are, fully functional, to where if it's someone, because a lot of the people I have now, they've never like cooked before I, brought them on, and then now they're like, cooking like they've been cooking for 5 years. So I definitely believe that, that would be, the main thing for sure.
What's stopping you right now from getting another truck? What do you need to invest in to get that in place?
Honestly, right now, because we've just been open for like 3-4 months, I think the only thing would just probably be like a funding source.
Funding?
Yeah, like a funding source to be able to acquire another truck. It's just now getting to the point where it's starting to pick up, consistent revenue. When we first started, we had to figure a lot of things out. It's definitely a lot especially with the type of food we offer. Like we're not the typical, burgers and fries or, simple meal food truck. Like we offer Caribbean soul food that's restaurant, like, quality. So it's like we don't have like the full space to be able to cook a lot of those things. So we do the best we can, and it took us a while to kind of figure out a nice rhythm to where we can get the food done in time. There's been plenty of times in the beginning where we'll have to push back our opening time because we're still prepping, or certain things are still cooking because we don't want to like shortcut or lose the quality. So now since we're at that point, and now since the team is more comfortable with doing things on their own, once we have like a nice strong funding source, then we definitely would open up another food truck.
Let's play this scenario.
Yeah.
You have the funding. We got your truck tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's your next step?
The next step is to find a couple more employees afterwards. Those are in alignment. I have one guy currently on the team. He's I call him a KMT, which is like a kitchen manager in training. So he's pretty good at like holding things down on the food truck. So I would have him, be the manager of the second one, and bring up another, KMT on the first one, and just, train and, let them go from there.
Just thoughts out loud, right? Again, I tell me, like I'm putting myself in your shoes, something to ponder on. Do I have well-defined process for recruitment, right? If I need teammates, like in that industry, I don't know how easy it is to retain talent. Like looks like in your business, it's a lot more than just going into a restaurant. Restaurants have a lot of high turnover of people, right? So do you experience the same? If not, why not? And then like what do you do to retain and keep the engagement? Because again, like you said before, when somebody goes out, it costs you a lot, because now you gotta temporarily do the job of that person. Then you gotta go recruit, then you gotta interview, then you gotta board them, then you gotta train them. By the time you get them to the level where they producing what you expect, it's a lot of investment. People don't think about that. That's why also one of the reasons why we're holding on to some of the teammates that we're not necessarily excited about. Basically formal ways, processes of for every aspect of the business. So let me ask you, on the marketing side, is it just show up at the event and you have guaranteed experience, like the expectations of your you already know more or less from each event what you're gonna make? Like you're going to, like, let's say a festival, you probably have some kind of demographics, the amount of people at the festival, and like you already know what you're gonna make on each event, or not yet? You're not there yet?
I would say yes and no. I think, and this is something I'm dealing with. It's like the pricing points on a lot of things that I have. So sometimes we'll go into an event, and I don't know, for me, it's certain things. I like to make things affordable for the guests. So like the pricing points, I'll kind of put it in a range to where it may be lower than what it could be. And the only reason I mention that is because it would kind of affect knowing like what I would make from this event. Depending on the kind of, we've only done a few events so far. Luckily, the events we have done, they have had like 5,000 people or 4,000 or 5,000 people. So we've already known, like, if we're doing like $15 meals, for an example, and we get at least, 10%, of those people, we're at least, guaranteed to make at least, $5,000 or so. So, and that way, just kind of I try to find a way to keep like the food costs and paper costs low, at least around 20 to 25% of that, if not lower. But that's kind of like something I'm working on now, is trying to, crunch those numbers. It's kind of tough because after doing it so long by yourself, and then now, you went from doing it by yourself to just having a team of about 8 to 10 people. And then now you really got to figure out those numbers, and it's just, it's a long, journey without having a lot of those tools that a lot of people, have to crunch those numbers down. So, do you
see this business as a lifestyle business, or do you see this as something that you would look for, expand to the point where like you're gonna remove yourself from it and let it operate on its own?
I would say A mixture of both, more so on a lifestyle, because the way that I plan to structure it, it aligns with like the values and the morals that I carry. So um, even though there's those moments where it's like I work like 90 hours straight, or I'm just almost to the point of burning out, it's like that crushing still falls into alignment of what's being built. So there's the purpose is still there, the passion is still there. Exiting is something that I definitely want to do from a like day to day, cooking as a chef kind of thing. I definitely still want to be attached to, to see it all the way through, with the end goal of the whole corporation and stuff. So
Yeah, one of the goals of us, of course, we want to remove ourselves from day to day. I look at business basically four things in every business, whether you like it or not. There is attract, you're attracting, right? In your case, you pull up to a festival. Then second biggest thing is to focus on marketing, attract more. In your case, it's basically because it's mobile. You don't depend on one physical location. You gotta like optimize, know exactly what's happening where, what type of crowd, who would be the ideal for you to show up. And then sales, not just be an order taker, but show your enthusiasm, right? And share with people what's special and what feels tastes good and so on. Sell, build that average transaction price higher and higher. So yeah, that's going to be the third. And then the fourth is like constantly watching the money, making sure that you're operating at the profit. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they see profits on the paper but not in the bank, because it just slips away and there's no accounting. So lifestyle, removing yourself from day to day. You said 90 hours straight, it's aligned. Let's say you remove yourself. I don't think you'll decrease the number of hours. So is that your goal? Like, you young? At some point, like, do you see yourself transitioning to something like, I'm gonna step away and like the brand will be always tied to you? You're gonna be the face? Like, if you step aside and somebody comes into play, what's going to happen to the brand? Is it still Sage kitchen? Like, it's the same kitchen, or it will change?
I would say yes. That's definitely the goal. As much as I would like, sometimes might deny it, it's kind of already leading up to that moment now. I try, especially for the last few months or so, I try not to show my face as often. There's times where a lot of people will come to the food truck looking for me, and I try not to show my face so there could be that detachment, to where people could still come, support the food truck, support the catering, and know that they're still going to receive the same quality, or the best quality that the team can offer as they continue to grow as well. So I know eventually that it's going to happen, and it needs to happen because I definitely, like I said, I do a lot of like 90-hour, straight days, or just, I remember last week, for like 10 days straight, I only slept for 2 hours. I just go home, sleep on the couch, get up, get ready, go straight to the food truck. And I know that's not like ideal, especially as an entrepreneur, because the worst thing I want to happen is to have all of this happen and then just crash out and just not be able to keep it growing, and then it just all falls out of place. So right now I've been kind of working on that, just stepping back more. I still have my tendencies, even if I'm on the food truck, I'll try to get out of the way, and I'm like, no, I have to like slap myself and say, no, go over there, wash dishes or something, and let them grow. So that way, there could be that detachment, and that way, as the company grows, as we get locations, as we have a brick and mortar restaurants in different cities, that they're not expecting to see me there, but to see the brand. Even though it's called Sage's Kitchen, It's not based off of my name. It's just something that was created, and that wants to expand into, again, Sage Estates Hospitality Group.
I not necessarily tie Sage to a last name, and I always tie it somehow to scriptures, sages. So it's some wise older individuals in my. That's who I picture Sage. Sage's kitchen, like I say, it's like more like a very experienced, sophisticated kitchen. So exit, when we say exit, it's not always like, okay, I'm exiting, I'm out. Exiting can be like what you said, I'm gonna step aside from day-to-day stuff, and I'm just gonna focus more on business development, focus more on growth and everything else that's out there. So to have a business that is sale ready, that operates without you, that all the dependencies, all the risk that is gone, that's a tremendous thing that you can introduce. That somebody says, Sage, I want your business, this is how much I want. So that's where we ideally want to be in the business. So you prepare yourself. Because again, we go because of the passion. Right. I like this. I found a way to monetize it. It's happening. I'm excited. That motivation, excitement, you're basically an engine right now. Unstoppable engine that works 90-hour work weeks. But at some point, the body cannot keep up. Right. So you need to have things in place and be ready.
Yeah. And I hear it all the time. And, I would always tell myself easier said than done. But then I had to come to that realization not too long ago. Like, it's just about, having faith, number one. And then number two, trusting that, the people that you do bring in to either sustain or grow the company, just trusting them, and then allowing myself to step back and start focus. Because I definitely want to start focusing on like my health more, and just making sure. Because one time someone asked me like, "What do you like to do?" I said, I don't even know what I like to do. Usually, if it's my day off, if I force a day off, I'm like sitting down on the computer, like fighting to not do anything business related, and hours passes by to the point where I'm like, I done wasted the whole day not doing anything, because I would literally just sit on the no, I don't need to do computer work. I don't, I'm gonna go lay down, get up. No, but I gotta do this. And so it's like that unprogramming of like, hey, I don't need to be, like you said, the engine, and try to get a lot of drivers to come and let this person. And it's like, I thank God, because I have those people. Yeah. I have someone in Phoenix who's driving the HR, train. I have a friend of mine, Mark, who's gonna start driving the financial train. I have a friend, Adar, who's gonna start driving, the food and beverage train. Darius, who's starting to drive like the management train. Just all of these different people who's willing to drive. I just gotta give them the key.
Yeah.
And that's something that, really just like this week, like literally giving keys. Here's the key to this. Here's the key to this, like physical keys, but also, giving them,
ownership.
The keys of saying, hey, I'm going to trust you to drive this ship, and I'm not going to try to take the wheel from you. I'm going to sit in the passenger seat. I might hold the, rail a little bit and slide over, but I'm going to make sure that I don't try to touch the wheel, and just let you learn how to drive it and grow and, become, one of those NASCAR drivers and really do a good job at it. So, it's definitely in the motion now to get to that point.
I can relate to that. For many years, I mean, maybe in some way right now, I still feel that way. You would think that I would delegate this, and I'll open up time for myself, but I find something else to fill that time.
Yeah.
Why? For the same reason. I feel guilty. So let's play a game. It's gonna be high stakes rapid fire questions. Like I'll give you a choice. You just tell me what comes to your mind first. So, what's harder, restaurant or catering?
Restaurant.
What matters more, talent or systems?
Systems.
What's the biggest killer in your perspective, labor or food cost?
Labor.
Would you take one restaurant or 10 trucks?
10 truck.
Do you think that the chef's identity, you kind of answered that. Chef's identity, is it a strength or limitation?
Limitation.
Would you rather have control or scale?
I'd rather have control, but I need to scale.
But control over scale.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all these. Now, based on our discussion today, and maybe even without this discussion today, if you just reflect for a moment, next 90 days, where your focus will go and what you're going to be implementing as your next steps.
So I know the main thing that stuck with me was enterprise value. So definitely want to just step back. It's like it all flows together, like stepping back, not overworking myself, and taking some time to really like crunch the numbers, really see things from a perspective to where it's not me operating everything, but allowing all the systems to kind of flow to where I can say, okay, let's tweak that a little bit, or let's implement this over here. So definitely the next 90 days, which is something too that I call them my core of like, managers or, future directors of the company, just like really, zoning in on like creating a structure to where it's not me doing every single aspect of it. It's not me coming to the food truck like this morning at 4 or 5 in the morning to make sure all the food is, up to par and, up to the standard, but allowing them to understand how to get it all done, allowing, finding another person to drive, the food truck, so that way it's not only me driving it and I could be somewhere else, you know what I mean? Like, but that's one of the main things. It's like looking at the value to say, okay, once I see, okay, this is all the numbers, this is how we make each ingredient, this is how we make, this is how much labor is consistently. If we go to a certain location, this is how much we need to make in order to cover this. Then what is the value of the company? Okay, that's the value of the company. Okay, boom. So now, not only do we continue to operate in that value, but also how do we expand the value as well to what elements can we implement to where we can make this even more, of a high value, entity. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of the main things, just crunching down some numbers and stuff. So
love it, Sage. Thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. I know not everybody is so open to do that. I applaud you. Thank you. Keep it up. We should hear good news.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter what business you run, it has the same principles, and you need all four ideologies in our Rise. You need to constantly refine your business. You got to constantly invest into your business. You got to constantly focus on what it would share, scale into something much greater than what you can possibly operate on your own. And at the end of the day, building the enterprise value so it's always sale ready. You don't need to exit, but you have a choice to exit when need to and exit on your terms. Thank you, everyone. Until next time. Thank you, Sage. It was good.
Thank you.
Love it.